I knew the mainstream media wouldn't give Labour an easy ride. Most of them are owned by right-wing Tory shills, quite happy to go in hard on anything Labour does and tickle the tummies of the Tory counterparts. Yet I can't believe it's actually getting as bad as this. You literally can't believe a word that they're saying. I've got three clips to show you where the interviewer either blatantly lies and gets away with it, or even one case where the lie is called out, but they wait until the guest has gone and they repeat the lie as if it's fact. Now, the Labour politicians do a good job of calling them out, which is good because the last thing you want is the interviewer to be allowed just to spout nonsense and get completely away with it. So first up, we're going to have Trevor Phillips and Darren Jones. Now, I did do a video on how Phillips' interview style completely backfired on him, and this is going to be another part from the same interview. So essentially, this video is all about trust and what you can believe in. One company you can believe in is Proton VPN, the sponsor of this video. You think your online activity is private? Well, spoiler warning, it's not. Every click, search, and stream can be tracked by your ISP, advertisers, even hackers waiting for you to slip up on public Wi-Fi. A VPN changes the game, shielding your data, masking your real IP address, and giving you control over your online privacy. And Proton VPN is leading the way in this field. Now, imagine you're the Home Secretary, or just somebody that has very sensitive data that you need to send to somebody. The first thing you do, obviously, is make sure you send it to the right person, unlike she did. But you also need to watch out for any snooping hackers. They can easily intercept those files, and then they're all over the internet. Headlines pretty much write themselves. Yet if you use Proton VPN, your connection is going to be encrypted, files protected, and any scandals avoided. But it's not just any VPN. Proton VPN is for those that demand serious privacy. It's backed by Swiss law, so no logs policy, meaning that no one, not even Proton, knows what you're doing online. With servers up to 10 gigabytes and VPN accelerator boosting speeds by 400%, it's faster than ever. Unlike other VPNs, its free versions actually be usable. There's no of this free trial nonsense. Its code's public, so experts worldwide can verify its security. A Proton subscription unlocks the full suite, email, calendar, and more, designed with privacy in mind. So whether you're streaming F1 races, blocked in your region, gaming without lags, or just keeping private things private, Proton VPN is your ultimate tool. So take back your online freedom, protect your data, and protect your peace of mind. And thank you to Proton VPN for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to it. Darren Jones and Trevor Phillips are talking about defence spending, and Phillips puts it to Jones that the government is going to be trading off defence spending against growth. Jones refutes this and claims that the trade-off is actually with other departments, not with defence itself. But then Phillips goes on to repeat the lie to Priti Patel, and because she's a Conservative, she's going to go along with it. This means you, the viewer, if you hadn't seen the interview with Darren Jones, you would just see the lie coming from Trevor Phillips' mouth without any pushback.
I mean, this is a very interesting point, and you're very clear about it. For you, it's a trade-off. In the Kremlin and Beijing, they don't have that sort of... they don't make that kind of equation. They simply say, we have to spend whatever we need to defend our country. We are essentially putting national security at the mercy of the economic winds.
No, national security is a foundation for this government, as it should be for...
So why not say that, come what may, we're going to hit the 2.5%, we'll find the money from somewhere else?
Well, that may be one of the decisions in the future, but today we're spending 2.3%. The question is how you spend that. But defending the country is a non-negotiable. That is not a trade-off. The trade-off is then with other areas of public spending. Okay. Now, are we defending the country today? Absolutely we are.
Work with our allies.
Darren Jones made a rather interesting point and was admirably clear. He said that essentially there is a trade-off between economic growth and the amount that we can spend on national security to respond to, for example, Tony Radakin's call for a stronger military. Is he right that that's just the reality of government, that sometimes you have to sacrifice or wait to be able to build up your national armed forces, depending on your economic circumstance?
Absolutely not. These are political choices that this government have chosen to make.
It really frustrates me that they can get away with this. The whole argument was debunked right there and then, and yet because it doesn't fit Trevor Phillips' narrative, he just repeats it. Also on Sky News, we've got Kay Burley, and the interview with the Transport Secretary, she tries to claim that Labour have broken a manifesto promise by implementing an inheritance tax on farms. Now, a manifesto promise break is quite serious, but this is a lie. She did try to backtrack on what she said by saying it was a promise made in December or November of last year, but the manifesto wasn't out then, and you can't claim something that somebody might have said or might not have said is a breach of their manifesto. So have a watch of this one.
I'm not sure we particularly set out a promise around this issue.
You did.
Well, that's not my understanding.
Well, you did.
OK, well, it's not my understanding, and I
So
think
you broke your promise?
I think the Chancellor's been very clear that she is not breaking promises that she made in the manifesto.
But you promised before the election that you wouldn't do this, specifically this. Steve Reid promised actually last December that you wouldn't do this, and you have. So you've broken your promise.
Well, I don't accept that.
OK.
Stuff like this matters because, unlike me, I should imagine many people watch the news like I do, and they won't watch as many interviews as they can. They may see the odd one, and if they get lied to, but not by the politician, by the interviewer, they're way more likely to believe the lie, and it's going to be extremely damaging to public confidence. So the final one I've got here is Laura Kuenssberg, and well, she's essentially doing the Tories' job for them. Instead of asking questions about government policy and questions that actually people would like to know the answer to, she's more interested in these gotcha kind of questions, trying to claim that disputes that Labour settled, that the Tories had just ignored, were only done by giving them inflation-busting pay rises. She didn't have to say they were inflation-busting, mainly because it's not true. She didn't even have to give it that description. It's all just done so the viewer takes an instant dislike to the government, which means then the Secretary of State has to work doubly hard to try and show the viewer the improvements they're making and how they're going to make their lives better. So have a watch of this one.
When it came to the train drivers' strike. So you got people back to work by offering them pretty chunky inflation-busting pay deals. What strings did you attach to that offer?
Well, firstly, it wasn't inflation busting because we were looking for the last 3 years. It was actually below inflation, and the previous government.
Put it all together, it was a generous deal.
It was a deal over 3 years when inflation at that period had been 12%, and we set it at 4.5%.
But what strings did you attach?
So
to
we
it?
had agreements with the drivers' union in particular.
It just really frustrates me they're allowed to get away with this, and I'm all up for government ministers and secretaries of states and prime ministers to be held to account. That's what these journalists should be doing. They should be questioning on policy. How much is it going to cost? What's the impact of it? How is it going to make people's lives better? And when they're speaking to the opposition, they need to be asking, what's bad about the policy and what can you do differently? How are you going to improve that policy? Instead of just tickling the tummy and getting the viewer to think that they're all the same or they're all as bad as each other, they're just asking silly, pointless questions just to score a few political points with their Tory overlords. I hope that the government will impose a media reform because this really needs cleaning up. But among these charlatans and Tory opportunists, there is still one person that I've got a lot of respect for. She doesn't take no nonsense, she backs her claims up with facts, and she's good at holding politicians, regardless of the rosette colour that they wear, to account. And that is Victoria Derbyshire. You can also trust Proton VPN to keep your internet security safe, so be sure to click the link that's in the description and check out Victoria Derbyshire's video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.